And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is
jumping, jumping.
I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight.
I ain't worried about my girl, alright?
All you ladies leave your man at home.
So it's been a while. I thought I would do another video check-in. And these are kind of my thoughts that I've been thinking about lately that I wanted to share with you. And you can let me know if you have similar thoughts in the comments or give me some feedback and tell me if I'm completely wrong on this. So after the whole pandemic and like everyone was like, oh, take care, be safe out there. And then exactly 2 days after the pandemic's over, people go back to treating each other like shit. But one of the things that I noticed is more people cared about their physical health and their mental health, and they cared more about like being with their families and not getting job burnout, not working at a job where people don't value you or see your self-worth. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of job openings just here in the little Redding, California area where I live. And I know there were a lot of job openings when I left Ohio to come back to California, and it seems like that people thought, or maybe the government thought after this like COVID virus or whatever was invented by them, that they were going to gain more, I don't know, control over people, have more power over us, but that kind of backfired on them. And now more people are leaving jobs where they're not appreciated, where they're not respected, where they're not paid properly for their time and the skills that they have. Like at the end of the day, you're just a warm body to fill a spot. And if you die at the end of the week, they're just going to clean out your desk and hire somebody else. So I always feel like you shouldn't put in more than you're paid to do. Act your pay wage. So if you're paid $17 an hour or whatever you're paid, just do what you're paid to do and nothing more. Don't go above and beyond. I see so many employees that are taken advantage of by their employers, and employers are like, oh, this is employers be like, oh, this is just the type of workforce that we have. These youngsters these millennials don't want to sit here and they don't want to work. They're just lazy. No, people aren't lazy. They're tired of all these big corporations raking in big-o bucks while we sit here barely making minimum wage, barely living paycheck to paycheck. We're lucky if we have $200 left over after we pay all of our necessities and gather food and get gas for our vehicles to return to a job that doesn't appreciate people. I mean, I've worked at Goodwill for a while now, and let me just say, they don't appreciate any of their employees. They treat people like dog shit there. I actually left that job to go into pursuing CNA training because I want to go into a job where I can actually help people that want to have help and go where I'm actually appreciated. Like a lot of these jobs, they just treat you like they can take advantage of you. And if you let them, they will. Sometimes you just have to set like firm boundaries with your employers. And it's just ridiculous in this day and age that we're in 2024 and y'all think that we can just live off of $16 an hour. By now, minimum wage should have already been like $25 an hour. People are barely freaking living. And then all this stuff that you tax us on, and then the tax money doesn't even go to what you say it's going to go to. It's spent on BS like wars in Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and wars that are very government created. I mean, these are just my thoughts. And then you can't go sit and find a carton of eggs for no less than $12. I mean, this is ridiculous. $6 for a gallon of milk. Better off, honestly, having your own. You're honestly better off having your own little like free community garden where people come in and plant stuff and garden and share amongst each other, growing your own like produce and whatnot, because then the government's not profiting off of you and you're still being successful and supplying people in hurting communities with food. Like everybody's hurting right now. Like when I'm not working volunteer at the food bank, I cannot believe how many people are in these lines for these food banks that I volunteer at. Like, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional. But like the last time I volunteered a couple weeks ago, there were at least 450 people with kids and animals and homeless people in line to get the free food that these stores would otherwise throw away, that gets donated to the food banks, because they can barely afford anything. Like, our government and this inflation recession economy is so flippin' crazy right now that people basically are living paycheck to paycheck, barely paying their rent, barely paying their mortgage, barely paying all their bills, and by the time they're done, they can't even afford groceries. In the state of California, they're not even allowed to rent to you if you can't afford groceries. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that our own government has literally turned against us for greed and profit. And they're not for the people. They're for whatever the government's for their own personal hidden agendas. And our tax-paying dollars just fund their personal agendas. And they just, at the end of the day, tell us what they want to hear. And it's really absolutely disgusting to me that all of us are struggling while these people at power allow this struggle, make these high, unattainable prices for groceries that nobody can afford. It's absolutely shocking. It used to be we the people and the government for the people, and now it's just everybody's out for their own personal agenda at the end of the day, and nobody really cares about anybody anymore. It's just really, it's become like a dog-eat-dog world, and it's really sad because people don't deserve this. They work hard, they have families, that the housing crisis, I mean, all these things going on, is our government is to blame. There wouldn't be so many homeless people or houseless communities if the government would allow more transitional housing and or like group type homes for these people that are homeless, to reintegrate them back into society and get them caseworkers and social workers. But the government would rather not spend money on that because they don't think these people are worth the time of day. It's just out of sight, out of mind, cut down the bushes, cut down the trees, and push them on to the next town. But the reality is they have nowhere to go, and they're everywhere, and these problems aren't going away. It's not out of sight, it's not out of mind. They're just setting up tents in the next area of our town. And just things like these are really hurting our communities and the very communities that we work in, and it affects the jobs, and it just affects everything. And this is just really unfortunate that things are turning out the way that they are. And honestly, I predict in the next 5 to 10 years that there's going to be tens of thousands of job openings because people don't want to be burned out. People don't want to be overworked and underpaid and treated like dog shit beneath someone's shoe. People want respect, and they want to be paid for their time, and they want to be paid for their skills, and they want to be able to afford their mortgages and their day-to-day life, and they want to be able to afford vacations that they can go on with their family. Nobody wants to live the life that they are living right now. Nobody wants to struggle and live paycheck to paycheck. But until we speak up and we band together and we tell our government what changes we need, not want, what changes we need, nothing's going to change. Everybody wants to vote for all these politicians that be, but do you really know at the end of the day what you're voting for? Do you really know at the end of the day what you're getting? You know, over in Europe, they overthrew their government, and they have no commercials on TV, and they have no government. It's a self-governed country, and they actually take care of their own people. The government is not involved at all. And honestly, I think it's about high time we get rid of our government, to be honest. I mean, look at what they're doing to us. They're not building us up. They're tearing us down. And these are my thoughts. I hope everyone had a great new year, and I will see you in our next video.